Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event. Let's get ready to rumble!
And that's right, everybody. Welcome back to the Best Seat in the House podcast. I'm your host, Rob Cramer, along with my co-host, Mr. Maloonigan. Actually, Daniel Bobo Kurlan with his special guest right here. So, hey, Dan, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great, Robert.
How's Mr. Maloonigan doing? That's a better question.
He's doing great. He's excited to be able to sit to be able to sit on my lap during the Mets opening day tomorrow. It's going to be a unique situation too because it's on the same time as the Rangers game. So I'm probably going to have the MSG Go app set up on the tablet and the Met game on TV. One of those little unique things.
Well, if we're lucky, the games won't overlap that much because we have opening day at 4 and the Ranger game at 7.
They actually just announced they pushed back the Met game to 7 o'clock.
Did they really?
Yep, I just heard not that long ago.
Wow. Oh, that's kind of bad news actually for us, because I was kind of keeping my fingers crossed that we would have opening day rained out. You know, no offense to Tyler McGill, but I would really like to see Max Scherzer pitch our first game of the year. But you know what though? Tomorrow, or as for everybody who's seeing this, today is opening day, and it's such a cool day in baseball. One of the best days of the year. I know it's obviously, you know, you're and my one of our favorite days of the year, no doubt about that. And
yep. I consider that's always a holiday at my household. I even remember growing up as a kid, my mom used to let me miss school. So we could go to opening day.
Yeah, I've had that a couple of times too when I was a kid, and you know, opening day is the best. I mean, there was a streak where I think I went to opening day like 6 or 7 straight years, which I know for a lot of these opening day gurus really isn't that much. You know, I have spoken to people who've been to like 30 straight opening days. So, I mean, what I did is like a drop in the bucket. But you know,
I've had my share of streaks on opening days during the Shea years. I think there was a year or two that the streak was broken. Up until 2000 and obviously 2020 and 2021 with the reduced capacity, I had my streak of attending every opening day in the Citi Field era broken.
What, during the pandemic, right?
Yep, and during 2021, because I hadn't the opening day tickets yet, and opening day in 2021 that was priority on who had tickets had first crack on the limited capacity. So because of that, I couldn't buy opening day streak with fans that and of course I'm counting the years fans were allowed. Had my opening day streak during the Citi Field era, the end got snapped. So this will be my first home opener since 2019.
Wow, yeah, 2019. I think my last one was 2018. For whatever reason, I believe I missed the 2019 season opener or home opener. I'm sorry. For us, and you know, actually, we'll get into this in a second as we get to the Mets. Me and you were jumping the gun a little bit. Just a couple of excited Met fans as we're pumped up for opening day today. But let's get our introductions out of the way. Obviously, I'm the co-host, Rob Cramer, along with my co-host, Daniel Bobo Kurlan. Thank you for tuning in now. This is episode 5 of the Best Seat in the House podcast. I think, you know, we're just starting to get into a little bit of a groove. We're going to be introducing, as a matter of fact, a new bit today. And
hold on, let me go open the door because Loonigan wants to go back to the living room with my mom.
No problem. And I'll set the table for this, my friend, as we're going to have a nice bit today that we're going to have our first little segment feature, our first segment that's going to be featuring Daniel Bobo Kurlan, as he's going to be he's going to be telling everybody what gets under his skin, what grinds his gears, about sports. So he's going to get to just go off the cuff. He's going to be going Ram Bobo on everybody today. So we're going to be seeing that in a little bit. We're going to be covering the Mets opening day. The Yankees officially postponed their opening day. They're supposed to be opening tomorrow. Obviously, that's been pushed back until Friday. So no worries for them. They got Garrett Cole still on the hill. So it'll be perfectly fine for them. We also have a Knicks and Nets game going tonight. So we'll be periodically checking in on that, even though the Knicks season's pretty much over. The Nets are getting ready for the playoffs. Me and you really haven't talked much basketball. And we'll be getting into that too. We're just going to dip our toe in the river of iniquity, as our good friend Gino Bisconti would say. But as a matter of fact, too, before we get into it, I really want to say what a great appearance you had on the East Side Dave show. Well, actually, it's the Davey Mac Sports program. I'm still used to the East Side Dave show from when he was at Compound Media just a few months ago. But it was so great to have East Side Dave invite you on, and you, Dave, and Roy really had a great show. How was it like being back on there with Dave?
Yep, that was. And I got to really thank Stevie Lou for setting up that little setup at his house. I happen to be filming for those who are wondering. No, that wasn't filmed at my I didn't film my appearance at my house. I happen to be picking up something that Stevie Lou was gratefully nice enough to print out for me, because the Brooklyn Cyclones still do their tickets through internet printouts. So and my printer was busted, so thankfully Stevie Lou was nice enough to print out the ticket for me. So I had to go to his house, which is not far from me, to go pick it up.
Oh, very cool, very cool. And you gotta love Stevie Lou. Once again, definite big thanks to Stevie Lou for helping you get that squared away and helping you get set up and have a great performance on the Davey Mac Sports program. You could check out the Davey Mac Sports program, subscribe to their feed on iTunes and where you get your podcasts. Check out his YouTube page. You could see, much like we're doing, the Zoom broadcast of it. Eastside Dave is the best. You just, such a great guy. Awesome to see you collaborating with him again. And, as he said, if me and Roy Harder ever die, you guys could do a show together. And who knows, maybe me and Roy Harder will do one from heaven. So we can we could all have a little show there. So such a really great thing to see you back with the with Davey Mac. And I hope he's got some more things coming our way in the next couple of months.
Yep, that definitely. I hope somehow there's a way we could work out that I could bring Eastside Dave to a Subway Series game this year.
Now that would be a hell of a show.
That is something I've been having on my checklist for a while, to take Eastside Dave to one of the Subway Series games.
That would be awesome. That'd be awesome, especially this year where it's looking like both of our teams are going to be, off to a maybe not off to a great start, especially with the Mets missing deGrom, which kind of stinks. But we'll get into that shortly. But it would definitely be really good to sink your teeth into the Subway Series this year, because the Yankees are always good. They're always in it. So they're going to find a way. And we just got to keep our fingers crossed that the Mets are still in it too. And that, when we're getting deGrom back, it's just reloading, as we got a pretty good rotation to hang our hats on. And no disrespect to Tyler McGill, but he's just filling the boots of Jake right now for the time being.
Yep, that's true. And I actually remember Tyler when he was pitching low A ball in Brooklyn. Well, then low A ball, because as we know, the Cyclones are now a high A ball team, a full season team. They no longer do those short season low A leagues. But back then they were a low A league. And back then I actually saw Tyler McGill pitch back then in those days.
Yeah, that's true. They flip-flopped the low A and high A down in Lucy. Used to be high A, Port St. Lucie, now up in Brooklyn. That's the high A, which I think kind of makes sense, especially with it being uh, closer to the Mets and everything, and let the kids have fun down in low A ball in St. Lucie. But I
Exactly.
definitely,
Be
yeah.
going to the home opener on the 12th there.
Oh yes, yes, that's very cool. And yeah, so you'll be checking that out as the Cyclones start their second season, where it's really a full season. Obviously, last year it got started a little bit later because we were still dealing with a lot of the lockdowns and stuff for the pandemic. They had a little bit of a shortened season, but this will be a full season. The first time ever we'll be seeing Cyclones games in April. So definitely excited for that. Definitely
Yep.
excited to see how that works out for you too.
Very cold because of the location. Because if anybody ever been to the Cyclone Stadium knows it's very close to the beach. So I might be looking like Jack Nicholson at the end of The Shining at that game for all I know.
That's true. That's true. You might be warmer the at the Winter Classic from a couple of years ago at City Field with the Rangers and the Buffalo Sabres than you will that night, especially, Coney Island could get pretty cold, especially in April.
Yep. I guess I might have to pack the winter jacket.
You got that right. You got that right. Get those quarterback heating pads for your hands too. So, but with that all said, episode 5, Best Seat in the House podcast. Thank you for sticking with us here and giving us a shot. You can follow us at BSITH, BSITH _ podcast. Really love what Dave was talking about on the show the other day with you about the sports sits and using that. I was thinking that too, but I'm just not as creative as the Dave man. So that's definitely something cool to use. Like you said, maybe a potential t-shirt down the line.
Essentially,
So
love the idea of that as a sticker.
absolutely love that too. No doubt about that. So you could check that out at BSITH _ podcast. And obviously, Dan, give a couple of your plugs there, buddy.
Of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Bobo103NYC. I'm also Bobo718DK on Instagram. And of course, it's Daniel. It's Daniel Kurlan. It's one word on a YouTube.
Daniel Kurlan on YouTube. Yeah, check that out. You got a lot of fun stuff on there. You and Stevie Lou have made a lot of fun videos over the years, and all the stuff you've done for the East Side Dave show too. And
I'm also going to be filming a little opening day video, so you got to check that out on the 15th. I'm filming an opening day video.
Very cool. Very cool. You mentioned that, and that's going to be a lot of fun. No doubt about that. Also, too, we'd like to just make this little announcement that we made on our social media, but might as well say it on the show as well. If you're not following us on Twitter yet, you might as well get in, because we're having a nice little nice little contest, nice little raffle. If you're gonna follow us on Twitter, every time we get 100 followers, so we're doing it for the first 100, and now we're doing it again when we get to 200. Right now we're somewhere, give or take, around 120, 130 followers on Twitter as we make the climb up there, the BSITH _ podcast. And we're going to be raffling off the next couple of days our first gift card for Fanatics. And you could check that out on our Twitter account and see how to get involved on that too. And then we'll be giving another one for the 200 followers. Isn't that right, Dan?
Yep, that's right. You'll get yourself a nice little gift card from Fanatics. You can get yourself a nice little thing for your hat. Get some new gear in time for opening day.
Absolutely. It's the perfect time for that. What they say, a brand new season, need a brand new hat, brand new jersey. Who knows? Maybe you're a big fan of Max Scherzer and you don't have his Mets jersey yet. Well, guess what? You want a nice little down payment on it? Follow us on Twitter. Give yourself a chance to win that Fanatics gift card. Really great company with a lot of great sports apparel. So no doubt about it, one of the premier sports apparel companies out there. So we want to thank Fanatics and thank our followers too, and thank everybody for tuning in and checking out all the fun content we're going to be putting out. Yeah, with that, let's jump right into this stuff, Dan. As tomorrow is supposed to be opening day, like you mentioned at the top of the show, which was breaking news to me. The Mets have moved their game back from which was supposed to be a 4 o'clock game tomorrow in Washington, D.C. It's now a 7 o'clock game in Washington, D.C. against the Nationals. The pitching matchup is going to be Tyler McGill and Patrick Corbin. Dan, how you feeling going into this game right now? I know it stinks not having Jake out there for opening day, or Scherzer for that matter. But are you confident with McGill? Do you think that Showalter made the right choice picking him with the other guys?
I actually believe Showalter made the right choice because it looks like McGill, the way he's pitching, I feel like I'm getting vibes of when deGrom first made his debut, that deGrom seemed to have this composure about from his first start that he was ready for it, for pitching in the majors. Gives me that same vibe. And I was at that major league debut of Jacob deGrom, and deGrom just looked like he was ready.
That's true. That was against the Yankees in May of 2014.
Yeah, and if I'm correct, I think his first strikeout was Derek Jeter, if I'm correct.
You might be right about that. I'm not positive, but you definitely might be right about that. deGrom looked great in that start too. That was a spot start. He was coming up for Dylan G. He ended up taking Dylan G's job after that for the most part. But he made that spot start and stuck and won Rookie of the Year after that. And he lost to the Yankees 1-0 that night. But man, he looked great doing it and didn't lose his spot since then. It's just a shame seeing what's happened to him over these last couple of years, really. I've been hearing a lot of Met fans who I understand. Met fans are protective of Jake. Met fans don't want Jake to be viewed in a negative light, really, for any reason. I understand he's a 2-time Cy Young Award winner. This guy is, one of the premier players in the game, and not only on not only on our team, but in the game. So I totally understand being protective of it. But when you look at the fact of the matter, injuries big and small, over the last 21 months, Jacob deGrom has had 11 injuries. 11 injuries. Now think about that. Luckily, we haven't had too many problems with his elbow, which is pretty good. And a lot of the time, these injuries have just been small and little flare-ups, and they've varied in their degree of urgency. But I don't know, when he's been having this, I don't want to call him injury prone, but he seems like he's going down that road. What do you think about that, Dan? Do you think that that deGrom, that you can rely on deGrom? Is he that guy for the Mets still, or is he an injury prone guy who's a question mark?
I feel it's a little bit of both. I feel like he's a guy that could be relied upon. It's just hopefully if he can get over this hump as well as we hope he could be relied on. But right now, at least the last couple of months since the second half of last year, it feels like, why do we always have players with the powers of Mr. Glass from the movie Unbreakable on the team? I would love to just have a player with the powers of Bruce Willis's character in that movie. I don't know if you ever seen the movie Unbreakable.
I've never seen it.
Well, basically, he was like this guy that he sort of had these powers that he couldn't get injured.
Okay, well, that's exactly what deGrom needs.
Guy that I don't know if I want to spoil the movie at the end, but there was a character that he was dealing with that was trying to explain to him that he probably has these powers. The guy was played by Samuel L. Jackson, and he went by the nickname Mr. Glass because he would get injured all the time.
Well, that's what I've taken to calling deGrom a little bit lately. I've been getting a little flack from Met fans for it too, but I've been calling him deGlass because he does seem to be, a little injury prone over these last couple of years. But you know what, though? I think when you look at deGrom's resume, he's been a 30 start a year guy most of his career. 2016 was really until last year was his only really injury prone season. His only injury shortened season. Obviously we know he missed down the stretch and he got hurt. Harvey was down. A lot of that rotation was banged up outside of Noah Syndergaard. And you had guys like Seth Lugo and Robert Gesellman come up and fill in the void until they made the wild card game and eventually lost to Madison Bumgarner. But
I don't remember how depressing that loss was.
Oof.
I was at that game.
And once again, too, that game was, it reminds me in a way of Game 7 of the National League Championship Series in 2006, because they got a great catch in that game in 2006. It was from Endy in 2016.
I was at that game, mezzanine level at Shea Stadium, and that whole game felt like the Mets were going to win.
It did.
When the Mets lost that game, I just had this shocked look, and I remember this shocked look when I called on the phone to I was talking to my mother and sister watching at home what had happened. Like, I can tell you the shock reaction I had. They heard from me on the phone after that game.
No doubt about it, man. And the parallels between the 2006 Game 7 and the one-game playoff in 2016, it really is crazy. I mean, it was a well-pitched game in both games. Obviously, it was scoreless into the ninth inning. In 2016, it was 1-1 in 2006.
And
what's that?
That Curtis Granderson made that amazing catch.
That's what I was going to say, too. Granderson, man, the Grandy man made that great catch. And actually, the next year in spring training, when I was out there, I was yelling Willie Mays at him because that catch just reminded me of that Willie Mays catch from the World Series. And its importance. It felt like it at the time. But and then obviously we had the big home run in the ninth inning. But what were you going to say?
Like, I actually have a nice little memory of Curtis Granderson when he was on the Mets. In 2015, I saw the Mets on the road in Milwaukee. I brought a baseball hoping that maybe I could get one of the players to sign a baseball because of how close the seats were. A friend of mine in Wisconsin got us these close seats at that game. Mm-hmm. Well, I also had a giant Met flag with me. I got Curtis Granderson to sign a baseball before the game. And also during the game, I was holding up my Giants Met flag, and my mother was texting me saying she could hear me back home while she was watching on TV, me yelling, "Let's go Mets!" Like she recognized my voice. Person actually gave a nod to me when he crossed home plate after he had homered, and I saw myself in the background on TV because I actually DVR'd the game. And when I got back to when I returned home to New York, I watched it and I noticed myself in the background.
Very cool. Very cool. It's always cool when you can see yourself on, on TV like that. No doubt about that. That's a cool memory. And Curtis Granderson was a great Met. A lot of fun having him here. A lot of success the team had while he was here too. But we discussed the deGrom injury. We discussed Tyler McGill starting tomorrow. And it looks like that game is definitely going to happen now if they backed it up, because the rain was really supposed to taper off between 5 and 6 o'clock. So if they moved it back to 7, that kind of leads me to believe we're definitely playing tomorrow. And that would mean that Scherzer is pitching Game 2 of the year in Washington, and coming off this little hamstring hiccup. How you feeling about him?
I have a feeling from his track record, I'm going to give a trust in what he said, that he's probably nothing, probably a little hiccup, and hopefully he'll be fine. I have a feeling even when we might have to wait until maybe June for deGrom, if it all goes well. I have a feeling we could still be a 90 to 95 win team.
Oh yeah, especially if deGrom is coming back. They're saying, I would expect right now at this point that we're not going to be seeing Jacob deGrom until probably June 1st at the major league level. Like, I think, they shut him down for 4 weeks, which means that he's not picking up a baseball until probably around May 1st. And then you have to go through that progression where first time he goes out there, he'll throw an inning or two, depending how he feels. They'll bump it up. His first time out this year, he threw 2 innings and 25 pitches. So we'll start with that, and he'll work his way up to at least 5 innings, 75 pitches or so. and then he'll
Yep.
rejoin the rotation.
Probably be doing a couple of rehab assignments at Port St. Lucie, which means one of my Met fan relatives who lives around South Florida, she'll probably buy a ticket to that game to be in the stands.
Yeah, I mean that's true too. And actually, to be honest, that's the good thing about having Brooklyn as the full season high A now, because now you don't even really necessarily, as long as the weather is good, you don't have to send deGrom down to Port St. Lucie. You can just send him in Brooklyn, and he's getting a better experience and more along the more experienced hitters to face than he would down to Port St. Lucie now. So it makes even more sense to send him to Brooklyn.
Being in his comfort zone around the New York crowd, because we already know, I've seen it plenty of times when the major leaguers are rehabbing, especially one of the big names, when they're rehabbing for the Cyclones, they seem to get a nice little bump in ticket sales.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that. I remember when Jose Reyes was trying to get back into the game when he first came back and the Mets first reacquired him, and he was coming off of injuries and everything too. He was down there and the crowds were packed for him down there. And yeah, no doubt about it. Anytime you see him Met rehabbing or coming up there through Brooklyn, the crowds are going to come out. Met fans show up a lot. You definitely have a lot of passionate Met fans, yourself and myself included in that. So yeah, you're definitely right, man. There's a lot of cool stuff going on this year for the Mets, and I think right now, as long as they can keep their head above water and play good ball through June 1st, the following couple of months after that should be a lot of fun, because deGrom and Scherzer back to back, man, that's going to be a tough combo to beat. And with that, we'll move on from the Mets. We had a nice little chat about them. I think we're going to have a lot of fun watching that game tomorrow. Let's keep our fingers crossed. We kick the season off with a W. But like we mentioned earlier, one team that won't be starting tomorrow is the New York Yankees, as the Yankees open Friday afternoon at 1:00 against the Boston Red Sox. I know we gave our picks last week, and we both made it feel that we think the Yankees are probably a mid 80s to maybe low 90 win ball club. How do you like this opening day matchup? Yankees Red Sox, Nathan Eovaldi against Garrett Cole.
This one just looks like it's going to be a close, maybe down to the last out kind of game. These Yankees Red Sox games are always a heated rivalry. Even though I'm a Mets fan, I attended one of these ones with a Red Sox fan friend of mine once, and they are a very heated rivalry. So I expect nothing more than that. And I also have to say to all you to any Yankee fans that are attending, they are bringing back the vintage subway train ride before the game. You get to ride on the vintage subway car from Grand Central to Yankee Stadium station. It's a subway. I believe it's a subway car that dates back to 1923, the year the old Yankee Stadium first opened. And even though I'm a Mets fan, I might have to take part in the ride on that vintage subway car, because I always do. I kind of always enjoy riding on those vintage subway cars, getting to actually see those bit of New York City history up close.
Yeah, man, no doubt about it. That is a really cool thing. Like you said.
By the way, fellow Met fans, they are doing a similar thing on opening day at Citi Field. They're using a subway car that was on the number 7 line that dates back to 1964, the year Shea Stadium first opened. So as Met fans, we're also going to get the chance to have a little vintage subway car ride to the game as well.
Very cool. Very cool. I love when the city does that. Like you said, New York City has such a rich history, especially with baseball. It's all entangled with baseball too. The Mets are in Queens now. We played our first 2 years in Manhattan at the Polo Grounds. And obviously the Yankees have been, steeped in the Bronx since 1923.
And fact, how the term Subway Series came to be during the era of three teams when you had the Yankees, the Dodgers, and the Giants. The subway route we know today as the D train had stops near all three stadiums.
Very true. Very true. And it makes sense too. You know, they try to get, you know, like I know LA tries to do like the freeway series and all that stuff with the Dodgers and the Angels. It doesn't work. Subway series just works so well. You know, and
Yep.
it's something that even the Islanders and the Rangers can't copy because
I actually have my one of my Met fan peeps. She lives out in Alabama. She actually what's described the rivalry Mets and Yankees. She's a Met fan. She said it's like Alabama Auburn on steroids.
This is true. This is true. I mean, that college football rivalry and college rivalry in general is legendary. No doubt about that, especially with the success those programs have had over the years. But yeah, I mean, Mets, Yankees, New York, professional, that takes it up a notch. That takes it up a notch, no doubt about it, man. And you know, who knows? With the two teams we have this year, there's a possibility we could be seeing our first Subway Series World Series again in 22 years. So, you know, me and you've discussed this in the past too. That might not be our favorite scenario, but boy, it would be pretty fun to beat the Yankees in that, right?
Exactly. Nice little revenge from 2000. I attended Game 1 and Game 3 of that World Series, and let me tell you, we all know how horribly Game 1 played out.
Oh, you got that right.
Laughing Yankee fans as I'm walking out of the stadium to the train station. There were some laughing Yankee fans I had to deal with.
Yeah, that's one thing. I always liked Jose Vizcaino when he was a Met, but after that hit against the Mets in Game 1, I don't know if I could ever forgive him. And you know, just to check in quick with the basketball, like we talked about, we got the Knicks and the Nets tonight in a pretty big game. The Knicks, you know, they still have a hope to be in that play-in tournament, which looks like the Nets are going to be in. The Knicks right now are winning 63-46. So, you know, looking pretty good without Julius Randle out there right now. You know, briefly, because we didn't really talk about the Yankees. I want to get back and talk to them real quick about the Aaron Judge extension that they're talking about right now. But what do you think, Dan? What's your thoughts on this whole Julius Randle situation with his falling out with the Knicks and the fans and apparently trying to force his way out of town? He's shut down for the rest of the season now with, you know, an injury, but who knows if that's real. What do you think?
I'm hoping this doesn't happen, but I'm ready for the worst, that he leaves. I'm hoping it doesn't happen because I feel like we've had our worst luck when we've tried to recruit the big stars that would get us over the hump over the years. I mean, talk about a bad luck with the Knicks. Let's remember that big off season when there was a whole big hype of us potentially getting LeBron James. Remember that whole hype?
Oh yeah,
And he was
2010. I remember that.
going to recruit two other big names with him. We were all hyped up for it. I remember one Knicks fan I knew actually spent a lot of money on custom done orange and blue LeBrons.
Oh no.
Yeah. Like he had spent money on those. They really think it was going to happen. And the Knicks, I hear, went all out for the recruitment. I heard they even got James Gandolfini to film a recruitment video as Tony Soprano, supposedly.
Wow, I'd never actually heard that before.
The character during that recruitment video. But It did. I remember watching that whole ESPN special, and I'm waiting. I'm all excited about it, only to be disappointed. Another Knicks disappointment in 2019, the day of the NBA draft lottery. There was this whole big hype of us potentially having a number one pick in the NBA draft.
Yep.
At John Sullivan's after an Eastside Dave show, and I'm hanging out with some of the members of the Eastside Dave cast. I had my eyes on the TV. you could hear me potentially yelling more profanity than Eastside Dave when he's angry. So the disappointment on my eyes, what I saw on that TV screen, plus the Knicks lost out on all those big stars we thought we were gonna get to come to the team, to our crosstown rival.
Yeah, it's true. And you know what though? Even though that really, really stunk, luckily for us at least, it hasn't worked out for the Nets too much. Although the Nets are still a major threat to win the NBA title. Don't think I'm playing down the Nets because look, anytime you have Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving on the same team, you're going to have a chance to win. And it's going to be pretty tough to take them down.
Games now. So now they're really an even better threat now.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I also think too, like that 2019 draft lottery you referenced too, I think that actually worked out for the Knicks because even though I would have loved at the time to see Zion Williamson in a Knick uniform and it would have just made us feel better as fans to get that break, to finally get our first number one pick since Patrick Ewing in 1985. And especially with how bad the basketball was before that. But you know what? I think the Knicks actually, it worked out for the Knicks because even though it stinks that we didn't get John Morant, who went second, and John Morant is a stud and he's a star in the league, no doubt about that. Zion Williamson has been very, very injury prone, and it looks to me like RJ Barrett is really coming into his own. He's averaging over 20 points a year, 20 points a game this year, and I really think that he has taken the role as the lead guy since Julius Randle willingly handed that over to him this year. What do you think about the growth of RJ?
I think that's a good spin on it. I think we worked out very well. I'm hopeful we could get back to those exciting times back in the 1990s. I still remember those days when we would nearly win the title every year. Unfortunately, we kept losing to Michael Jordan and the Bulls.
And the only time we beat them is in '94 when Jordan wasn't there.
Yep, I remember that, and I remember that NBA Finals. You remember how the white Bronco chase happened that same time during the NBA Finals?
Yeah,
I was actually that they put the white Bronco chase on the TV and this game on this little tiny screen. I in watching a police chase with a murderer. I really wanted to see my team in the NBA Finals, and I remember the chase ended. I turned on the radio and listened to the WFAN feed at the time. The Knicks were on WFAN back then.
Mm-hmm. That's true. I remember the Knicks for years were on FAN. It's a shame they're not anymore.
Yeah, they were they were one of the original broadcast partners. I remember WFAN used to be the broadcast partners during their first year. They were the broadcast partners of the Mets, the Knicks, the Rangers, and the Jets, their first year of existence, if you remember their history.
Yeah, it's true. That was a long time ago, man. I mean, obviously I don't remember. 1987 was a long time ago, and I was only 1 year old at that point. But I do remember the Mets and the Knicks. However, I don't remember the Rangers being on there. But I'll take your word for it, buddy, because I definitely have no idea. But yeah, that's
and so there are some times because the Mets are on the station still owned by the same company that owns the Fan, so they kind of repurpose that little bumper. I still sing the bumper the way it was when it was on the Fan. I still sing that's the FAN part.
Let's go Mets. FAN.
I think I used to have that as a ringtone at one point.
Yeah, I'm glad too that they brought that back because the couple of years where they were over at 710, and they didn't have that every single time it would go to the middle innings, I'd sing it to myself anyway. So it's nice that it is back now, even though it doesn't have the FAN at the end. I feel like they should have just changed it to the Let's Go Mets and then end it with a CBS, instead of FAN. I feel like that still could have worked.
Yep, it still could have worked. I even remember at the time when they announced in 2013 that 2013 was going to be the last year of the Mets on the Fan. I remember the first station people were speculating was WEPN, 98.7 ESPN Radio New York.
Mm-hmm.
I remember what they could probably reuse that jingle somehow. Put the whole, just put the EPN and just add that dun-na-na, dun-na-na at the end.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, but that's true, man. So one thing to finish up on the Knicks. I know we're kind of all over the place here, but guess what, people? This is stream of consciousness right now. So you're just listening to sports fans bullshitting. So thanks for coming along for the ride. But just to finish up on the Knicks real quick, Dan. Right now the dream is that noted Mets fan Donovan Mitchell is right now having a falling out with the Utah Jazz, and apparently him and Rudy Gobert, his teammate over there for the last few years, their relationship is not very good. Donovan Mitchell, his dad has and still works for the New York Mets. He's from New York.
And I could tell you something. If he were to sign with the Knicks, I would be willing to pick him up at LaGuardia Airport. And I would actually buy him a burger at Donovan's.
There we go. Hey, Donovan Mitchell, we're going to put this out to you right now. If you ever end up on the Knicks, come through LaGuardia. My buddy Bobo here will pick you up and take you out for a burger at Donovan's on the house. And I'll be there too. I'll give you a hand. I'll carry your bags. And but right now the dream is that he could come here to New York. He loves orange and blue anyway. Why not wear Knicks orange and blue? Julius Randle trying to force his way out of here. He is a star. Donovan Mitchell is a star. Now, one thing that really, as we're going to get to you in a couple of minutes, grinds my gears is that Donovan Mitchell was drafted, I believe, 6 picks after Frank Ntilikina was picked. So the Knicks could have had him years ago when he was drafted, but it didn't work out that way. We had the brilliant Zen master, Phil Jackson, calling the shots then, and we know how well that worked out. Thank you very much, Frank Ntilikina. But I'm all for first round picks, Julius Randle, whatever you want. Not RJ, obviously. RJ has to stay because you're building around him. But tell me what you want, and I'm giving you it headlined by Julius Randle for Donovan Mitchell coming over from the Utah Jazz in a trade, because he is locked up for the next couple of years. He just signed a massive extension, I believe, last year. So it would have to be a trade. But I like the sound of that. What do you think, Dan?
I like that too.
Absolutely. So 2 thumbs up over here. And just before we're starting to wrap it up here and take it over to the my buddy's venting machine in a couple of minutes, we'll finish up with the Yankees. We're gonna have a lot of football. I think we're gonna skip the football this week. There's not much football news. We'll pick it up again in a week. In next week when we're doing we'll be talking other things. We'll be talking the NFL draft as it's coming up in a couple of weeks now. But for right now, I want to finish up with the Yankees. Still talking about this extension with Aaron Judge. Do you think the Yankees are going to get this extension done? I still can't believe it's dragging on. I think, to be honest, and I could be crazy, I heard a lot of conspiracy theorists out the last little while talking about this, but do you think that the Yankees get this done now is even a better chance of happening because they delayed the game and put it off until Friday instead? I heard a lot of people saying that now, specifically because this game was postponed and pushed back, that they feel much more comfortable that this extension is going to get done. What do you think about that?
I feel this extension is going to get done because I feel like in this era of the Yankees, Aaron Judge has become the big name that this generation, this current generation of Yankee fans, some that will probably don't remember the times, all those times they won the World Series, that's the name that they come to know.
It's true. It's true. He is synonymous with the Yankees right now. For a little while, he was synonymous with Major League Baseball, being the face of them. Winning home run derby, setting records. He lit the world on fire in 2017. I'm surprised this is still dragging on. The Yankees, I don't like the Yankees lowballing him. I'm sure he doesn't like that either. But I think two things work in Judge's favor to get this extension done. One, I think Steve Cohen. And I know, look, call me crazy, the Yankees worrying about the Mets, but I think Steve Cohen sitting over there in Queens, the Yankees know that Steve Cohen doesn't care about this quote unquote salary cap. He doesn't care about the tax. He doesn't care about any of this stuff. He wants to win. And if the Mets don't win this year for whatever reason, he's going to go out there in this offseason and make sure that they fine tune this machine to win in 2023. And you know what would be a big feather in his cap? The 6'7" right fielder for the New York Yankees wearing orange and blue. So I think that scares the hell out of the Yankees. And I think that's a big reason why Aaron Judge is going to get his extension in the next 24 to 48 hours. What do you think about that, Dan?
I think that probably is a good enough reason why it could go in that direction.
Yeah, and of course, obviously not just the Mets too. Could you imagine how Yankee fans would react to seeing Aaron Judge call Fenway Park home next season? Because
I can already hear it now. A few Yankee fans at work would have meltdowns over it.
Exactly. So I think the Yankees know that this is something that has to get done, and they can't let it drag on into the season. Get this done, Yankees. Let's do this up. And with that, we're gonna move on into our final segment. This is gonna be our venting segment. This is gonna be the segment where my good friend, my co-host, Daniel Bobo Kurlan, you're gonna get some things off your chest right now. You're gonna tell the world what you think, what makes you angry, what grinds your gears, sports-wise at least. And Dan, take it away.
I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
Yeah, one of the things I'm really upset, I was kind of upset about, if you remember earlier this year, we had the MLB lockout that caused some games to get postponed to a later date. And when that happened, I had bought tickets to one of those games. Well, what happened was my opening day tickets, of course, we know, got moved to whatever date opening day was going to be. But another game I had bought tickets to, I was just given ticket credit. And I recently was buying tickets to a game using that credit I still have with my account. It didn't cover the full price of the ticket, and it was in the same seating category as that canceled game. It still ended up maybe like $11 I had to still pay because it didn't cover the full credit.
Holy shit. Major League Baseball, you just made the list. Dan, keep going. Give me more. What else is getting on your nerves?
The other thing, Apple TV exclusive games. I gotta shell out money for Apple TV.
Preach.
And yeah, I gotta shell out money for Apple TV, a subscription service I wasn't really looking into subscribing to. I gotta shell out that to watch any Met games that are exclusive to Apple TV, and the same thing with Peacock. I gotta shell out money for a Peacock subscription for that, and for the MLB, the Futures game, which is the game that is held during All-Star Game weekend. You know, the prospect showcase game held at the All-Star Game site the Sunday before the All-Star Game.
Yeah.
I had to shell out that money for a Peacock subscription for that, and whatever Met games are going to be airing exclusively on Peacock. So I had to shell out more for that, and I had to shell out for Amazon Prime, their streaming service, for football season for any Giants games that are happening on a Thursday. Yeesh. Talk about really milking money for TV services to make sure I can catch every game. And ESPN Plus. I have to pay for an ESPN Plus subscription to get the games that are ESPN Plus exclusive as well.
That's true for the hockey this year.
Yeah, and I'm hearing, and I'm hoping this doesn't happen with the next TV deal. But I heard when a current TV deal with NASCAR is up, that they could be having some races Peacock exclusive as well. So it's really annoying me with that.
No doubt about it, Bo. Anything else? Anything else under your skin today?
Yeah, the other thing that's a little bit under my skin is of course the fact that we have nothing but parking lot by our stadium. I've been to several stadiums. I mean, not to knock anything off of Citi Field. I love the ballpark. There's just something about the atmosphere, about the festive atmosphere. I'm sure you've been to a few major league stadiums. They built a lot of things around the stadium. I mean, you got a place you could eat and something. I wish they would have done that with Citi Field when it first opened.
You got that right, brother. I mean, they got nothing around here. We got a bunch of scrap metal yards and everything. Luckily, they did add the bar, but other than that, we got nothing over there.
That bar actually closed down because they lost money during the 2020 lockdown. So that it was a victim of the pandemic.
Who wasn't? But
yeah.
And Dan, anything else? One last one. Give me something else. Anything else pissing you off today?
One last one. Bill de Blasio. Way to screw up my city. Way to screw up my city, Bill de Blasio.
Bill de Blasio just got one last kick in the ass, and he's not even mayor of New York anymore. So, hey, I like this this little segment. I think we're going to do more of it and different versions of it too. But all right, so you just Bobo'd all those assholes right now, specifically, and ending with Bill de Blasio. I love it, Dan. Now we're pretty much rounding down here right now. We've hit everything we've wanted to. One last thing, actually. I know next week we're going to be probably we're still in the booking phase right now, so I don't want to speak out of turn, but we're speaking to the Master of Chaos, Kevin Knight, who will be joining us at some point in the next couple of weeks to promote their gig on April 23rd in Nutley, New Jersey, that our good friend Eastside Dave is going to be participating in against against Tony Atlas, one of the WWE Hall of Famers, a great guy all around. It's going to be a lot of fun to see him and Dave compete. Yeah,
I'm actually the audience. And by the way, you might want to get yourself some tickets as well. It's for a great cause, for that Nutley Rally for Life, a great charity raising money for cancer research. Fuck you, cancer. I've lost too many good people in my life to cancer, including my dad, who passed away from pancreatic cancer. And I was just at the young age of 4 when he died. Wow. I lost my age.
Absolutely, man. Cancer, just like you said, fuck cancer. And really great job by the IWF, Kevin Knight, and everybody over there in Nutley, New Jersey, doing their thing. Please, if I know tickets are running low, so definitely as quickly as you can, go check out. I think it's campiwf.com. You can get tickets there. check out for April 23rd. And it's going to a good cause. It's going to a great organization. So you're definitely doing yourself a favor by going to check out all their great entertainment, especially seeing, Kevin Knight and Tony Atlas and Eastside Dave and Dark Oracle Sage and, all these other guys they have out there. They really have a fantastic roster of talents. And, if you are a fan of professional wrestling, which I know I am, Dan, did you check out any of WrestleMania from this past weekend?
I'm actually gonna watch it. I'm gonna sort of watch it this weekend from the archives, because what happened was I had a Wi-Fi outage at home that prevented me from being able to access Peacock to be able to watch it. So I'm gonna finally watch it this weekend. I actually purposely DVR'd Monday Night Raw because I didn't want to see any spoilers of WrestleMania. Which by the way, I have a relative in Texas who was at WrestleMania. So
very cool, very cool. WrestleMania. I watched it. I started with the Hall of Fame on Friday. I watched night 1 on Saturday. I watched a little bit of the NXT Stand and Deliver on Saturday afternoon, and then obviously finished up with WrestleMania night 2 on Sunday night. We'll get into it a little bit in deeper detail once you've seen it, and it's once you've seen what you want to watch, and when we're talking to Kevin Knight next week. But definitely, if you haven't seen WrestleMania yet and you like professional wrestling in any way, check it out. It was a lot of fun. I'm the type of guy, I've been watching wrestling since I was a kid, and this is probably the most fun WrestleMania that I've seen them put on. I mean, this is WrestleMania 38, so I'd say it's probably the best one since WrestleMania 30. It's at least a good 8 to 10 years that they've put on a show this fun and this exciting. So do yourself a favor and check that out too. You saw The Undertaker go in the Hall of Fame. Stone Cold Steve Austin had his segment with Kevin Owens, and that was awesome. And then everything else, Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns. So we'll be getting into that in deeper detail next week. And Dan, is there anything else you want to add to here at the end?
I also want to add, you can plug me. You can always follow me on Twitter, Bobo103 NYC, and on Instagram, Bobo718 DK, and also it's one word, Daniel Kurlan on YouTube. Plenty of great content that I filmed, and I'm even going to be adding some new stuff. Like I said, I'm going to be filming a little home opener video. So be sure to look out for that one.
Absolutely. We'll keep an eye out on that. And anything that Dan puts out like that, we'll be promoting on our Twitter account and across our social media platforms, which you could check us out. Like I said earlier, check us out, BSith_podcast on Twitter. And for every 100 followers we're giving away a great Fanatics gift certificate. So get involved in that. We'll be doing a raffle. Our next one is at 200, so we're a little bit close to that. Also check us out on Instagram, Best Seat in the House Podcast, and you can check me out, Rob Cramer. Check me out on Twitter at Cramer, my last name, NY, and find out all of our fun stuff up there. So for Best Seat in the House Podcast, I'm Rob Cramer alongside Daniel Bobo Kurlan. Thank you for tuning in for us for episode 5. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you'll come back next week. Have a great one. We'll check you next time.